brief intro to using the LCD interface on the Spectrum for those of you who've just received your Spectrums. I'm waking it up by tapping on the screen. And that's the audio coming from the Spectrum. To turn that off, I do a long press on the menu button, and that mutes the audio from the Spectrum. You see it's connected with the 5V DC from the DC adapter I've provided, the IQ signal from the preamplifier which we're including, the CAT connector here which supports the main protocols in use today for ICOM, Yaesu and Kenwood, and those are used also by Elecraft and the rest, and the audio out here. So okay, that's the G90, and you see if I tune the G90, the Spectrum is in slave mode. It syncs together, and also if we change mode, you see the mode display here, USB, see that changes. So we're completely integrated to the transceiver. Turn the audio off. Turn this audio back on with a long press. Okay, so let me briefly explain how the LCD works. It's a sort of soft touch LCD, so you have to give it deliberate touches. For example, you have to make a long press over 0.6 seconds, so you'll hear it change and you know you've got the long press. If I do a quick press, and it's got to be deliberate, so you've got to feel it touch down and come back off. You see the menu comes up, or the menu goes, and then basically the screen is split into 3 scroll zones to control the 3 banks of controls here, highlighted in yellow, grey and yellow. And then in the case of the menu being up, we can swipe just slightly to the right, and you'll see the little green arrow here moving down through the menu selections. So slightly to the right. If it goes the wrong way, it means you're too far to the left. So go over to the right from center, come up to a configuration menu, for example, and then on the right you change to the right zone and you click down or swipe down, and then that opens up that particular menu you've selected from the middle. Okay, so then swiping back up closes it, and then again slightly to the right of the center, just little swipes with the stylus and you can navigate. And then to open, once you've selected the menu with the green highlight, swipe down here, it opens. You can see it's selected the G90, and here of course you can simply switch through all the various supported rigs, or a generic rig if it's not on the list, and then you can set the protocol. And of course here again, moving down through the menu, we can change it to slave or master. If it's in slave mode, obviously it's controlled from your rig, and otherwise if you put it into master mode, you'll see that the rig will now change frequency as I drag. Now what I do here is, we've got an offset on the carrier. I'll turn that off by doing a long press on tune, and now we're using 0 offset, and it's working really well actually on the Spectrum. We work quite hard to drop the volume there, but we work quite hard to get the noise level as low as possible, avoiding all sorts of issues with ground loops or stray radiation pickup, and it seems to be working okay. So now we're controlling the rig frequency. So what I do is I do a long press which I keep down on the carrier bar, and then I drag. The more I go to the right, the faster it goes, and then I can just keep it touching the screen lightly and move left and right to go up and down. And if you stay within sort of a centimetre, half an inch of the carrier bar, then it changes frequency fairly slowly, so you can tune into CW or SSB stations. The other mode we've got, which we incorporated, is what we call slip tune. And with slip tune, you just make one click here, it goes green. You can then leave the rig on one particular frequency, okay, let's change to USB. Okay, here we go. So I use the green buttons here to tune up and down. If I do a single click, it will jump 1 kilohertz in either direction. If I do a long click, it will do 100 kilohertz jumps, so that's perfect. And I can keep it pressed down and go up and down to tune into the required station. Okay, so grabbing, that's touching lightly on the screen and just dragging that past. It's a very, very noisy 20 meters this morning. If I want to tune into a station, most stations are using on the kilohertz or 500. I can just click on the lower frequency area and it will go between 0 and 500. That's a very quick way to tune into most stations. Otherwise you can use the fine tune by holding down on the Fletcher control, the arrow controls here, and then keeping it down I can go backwards and forwards until I get the right spot on the frequency. So this is slip tune, so your rig doesn't do anything, it just sits there and it's giving out a wideband IQ signal, so we can capture 200 kilohertz here from 14.164 up to 14.356. so most of the, well, all of the top section of 20 meters from 0.164 up. So I can't find much of this. Okay, so it's a little difficult doing this at an angle with the camera pointing, but so to recap, using slip tune, you just click on this middle button which says slip/SP. SP is for split display. You get the two VFOs displayed and you can switch between them. That's a long press. So the second one after the bar is long press, the first one is single press. So slip tune is a single press. We're controlling the rig, the Spectrum is in master mode, so when I use slip tune, I can see that the rig is on a completely different frequency to what we're actually listening through the wideband IQ. When I come out of slip tune, the rig should resync to 14.292. So you basically use slip tune to examine the band and all the stations, and then when you find somebody you want to have a QSO with, you just click slip tune and you'll see the rig has now synchronized to the station you've selected when you come out of slip tune. And you'll note there's a lot less noise with the Spectrum. Okay, and I'm back to the Spectrum. Okay. So to drop the volume, click on the DSP selector, and then on the left side, up and down, click it again to close it, menu long press to go to mute, audio from the G90, and then audio from the Spectrum. Now the audio is completely processed by the Spectrum, so the IQ signal comes out of the front end mixer and is now completely DSP processed by the DSP processor within it, and it's a completely different chain, and we're capturing the whole 200 kilohertz, and this avoids having to use the encoder on the Spectrum, and of course it's a lot on the G90 and it's a lot faster obviously. There you go, you see the two VFOs coming up. Press slip tune, and now I can freely tune the band. And also I can zoom in on that station to get a closer look. You'll see there's a lot of energy on the band, and I can actually get rid of that. I can balance that out by pressing a long tune. It gives me balance, BL, after snap. So when I do that, to get the maximum effect, long press there, you'll see balancing here, and then I actually tune back and forth so it can capture more of the band. And you can now see it's got rid of the averaged energy. Okay, and then to disable that, you just do a long press again, and that takes it back, and you can see all the different energy levels of the frequencies across the band. To get a bit more spectrum display, we do a long press on the top here, and then if we press there again, we can cycle through different modes. So basically it's very easy to set that up as you want. You can even long click on the bar here. This software, a lot of this interface software, was developed in the Universal Ham Software Defined Radio project, started by M0NKA Chris and also Clive, who worked on the original code for the Spectrum. So we've used a lot of that interface and integrated it into this new electronics here, which is based on a very high quality STM processor board. And STM obviously are experts on the processor technology and how to incorporate that with a range of devices. It's been a lot of work to get all this working and integrated, and add the extra facilities to make the Spectrum device. And this is version 1.0 code, so obviously we've got a long roadmap ahead of interesting things that we can add, including slow scan TV. We thought it'd be fun to have the ability to make a QSO, say with a G90, and then if somebody else is using a Spectrum or has a slow scan TV setup, you can exchange a quick selfie, or a photo that you've got cached. And obviously we'd have a little pinhole with a camera, so if you're out portable, you could make a photo of your location and send it to the other person. Just ideas that we're playing with. So the idea of this, it's a fun project. We'd like, I think a lot of us like to be able to actually see the band. You can see where the stations are, because when you've got a 48K, you can see on the screen at the top here, there's a station there that's quite powerful. If I tune that off, that's that station there. When it reaches here, that's the end of the spectrum here. So that window at the top there, you can see my fingers in the darkness, it's not actually that dark here, is the quarter section. It's just these two sections here. So sometimes with the G90, as wonderful as it is, and it really is a great rig, I think, you only get a small window on the band, and you can be missing a lot of activity, 100 kilohertz up. So it's nice to see the band, I think, and it's great to be able to use the DSP capabilities. It's a lot less noisy. It's a lot less noisy using the Spectrum audio processing. If I can. And this is the audio from the G90. Okay, I haven't synchronized it, so I've got to synchronize, so I'll come out of slip tune. Okay, station seems to have gone. Typical. Anyway, so yeah, it's a lot of fun. Filters. Filters are very important. Here we select through various filters. If you get your rig and the filters aren't set up, you'll get a little message on the message line saying please go to the menu and go to filters. So let's just see how we quickly do that. Click on menu. We're going to come up here. So we swipe to the right, come up, and then we're going to go up to close it. And then you'll see down here we have filter selection. So we come down to filter selection. and then we can open that up, and then basically moving down with the center swipe area, you can, for example, see on the CW there's an unused spot. I can go to that unused spot, changing to the right band side. I can then swipe down and select through a whole range of filters, and I can preset all my filters as needed. It will take you a little while to get used to using the menu, and I'll try and repeat the videos to focus on various things, and then when you've done that you exit. If you want to save it, you hold the star means save, hold down the exit key with a long press and it will save it. To shut the unit down, you click on power and immediately confirm, and then it will shut down. Once it's shut down, you can tap on the screen 5 times to reactivate it. So yeah, it's a lot to go through, and there's a lot of functionality here to look at, but basically the other option is simply to set it up with your rig, and simply use it as a slave device. So you can simply just have it plugged in. Okay, if I can, it's the menu, and I change it from master. Okay. Little tricky using this at an angle from the side for the. There we go, slave, undefined, master, slave. Okay, and then come out. And then all the control now, as you can see here, but I need to turn off slip tune. And again, this is the audio from the Spectrum. I don't know if you can notice, but there's a big drop in the background hiss. Especially between talking, the background hiss just doesn't come up. Okay, so there you've got it, menu, function there, and then you can just go down here through all the menu functions and explore what's there. You've got the balancing, long press here on BL, slip tune, single press on slip, switching between your VFOs, and the offset tuning, which works remarkably well on this SDR, I have to say, if I say so myself. And then you have to control the 3 different sets of controls here. Click on the DSP control, and then you can set the volume up and down, the AGC up and down. Click on the actual controls to change bass, treble, and then you can adjust the treble, RIT, microphone gain. It's set up to work in so many different ways, as it's based off the Universal Ham software designed radio menu system. It's a lot of functionality in there, and of course with the Spectrum display you can really set that up exactly as you want to. Long click on the top menu area to get the bar back. Okay, and then a long press on BL, and you can average out the band area. So yeah, that's, I hope basically I've shown the configuration, mode change here by clicking on here, but this will of course not change. If it doesn't change, it's because you're in slave mode. And you can see here, as I change the mode on the G90, it switches through directly, because the whole thing is totally integrated. So if you don't want to fiddle with the LCD, it's set up, ready to go, and you can just use it exactly as you want to, as your band viewer. And that's it. So thanks a lot to all of you who've been sponsoring the project by by buying a unit. It's really appreciated. Started off as a project based out of love, if you like, of getting a Spectrum display in an old SGC rig, which I've had since I was a kid, and it's sort of grown from there. It was a lot of work, and I had to find an excuse to basically develop it. So that's how this kicked off. Obviously, we've got rough corners that we can improve on, and a lot of things that we can add, because we've got a lot of memory, megabytes of memory in this, where we can add almost anything you can imagine. And this is obviously version 1.0, so I think hopefully we're off to a good start. Any questions, please email us, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. And thanks again to everybody.